Hello and welcome back to a slightly different episode of JVCTR. So today I'm on a press day, there's loads of manufacturers here, and as you can see behind me we have the Hyundai i30N. So I'll do a really quick overview of the car, quick test drive and let you know my thoughts. The i30N was launched in the early part of 2018 as Hyundai's first venture into the hot hatch market. It was famed for having all the right components of a hot hatch, including great styling, a great chassis, a pretty nice exhaust note and so on. However, it did still have a slight image problem thanks to Hyundai's pretty average history of road-going vehicles. That said, Hyundai have dabbled in motorsport, competing in WRC from the late 90s through to the early noughties, and they recently returned to the sport too, so clearly they know a thing about performance cars. The model we have today is the Fastback, which is new for 2019, and it's essentially a prettier version of last year's hatch. Inside the car, there's nothing really to complain about. It's very clean, the design is nice and simple. Up top here, you've got some soft touch plastic, but that seems to stop as you get towards the windscreen and a little bit further down it here. The buttons themselves seem to be pretty well built. You've got a nice armrest here. It feels very spacious, I must admit. And actually, the driving position, for me, is spot on. In the back here, it's again, quite spacious. I was worried that the Fastback roof was going to impede on the headroom, but actually the slope seems to sort of start behind where the rear seats are. Now, I'm not the tallest of chaps. I think if I was any taller, it might be a bit uncomfortable, but in terms of legroom at least, there's loads of it. Now, if we come around the back, we'll open the boot, and as you can see in the boot, it is absolutely monstrous. Floor space is aplenty, although granted, you do suffer a little bit with that new Fastback roof. And that's the practicalities over. Let's go for a drive. The i30N is powered by a 2-litre turbocharged 4-cylinder engine producing around about 247 horsepower. Now, one thing I would say, just as we're pulling out of the media area place, is it's bloody hot today, and unfortunately I wore a really embarrassing t-shirt, so I've got a jumper on, which means I need to rely on this car's aircon, and I must admit, I mean, I've only been in it a couple of minutes, as you can see. We're just leaving the sort of ground thing there, and it's actually really cold. I'm impressed with the aircon, if anything, although I would be very upset if it didn't work very well. So we're right anyway. Just following the signs to a yellow route. We've got Porsche in front of us, cheeky Suzuki Jimny, which you might be able to see over my shoulder. Oh, that's the green route. There we go, here's a yellow route, which is actually one of the hill circuits, I believe. So this should be quite good fun. First chance to put my foot down, and it's not slow, although if I'm honest, due to the size of the car, it doesn't feel quite as punchy as the smaller hot hatches, such as like the Fiesta and the Mini that I've also driven today. I'll put a link up to that review up there. But all in all, as a comfy car, it's a very comfy car with quite a bit of power. Up a steep hill here, my first opportunity to try heel and toe, which actually worked quite well. Impressive. Let's really rev out that engine again. And we've got a yellow warning flag because it's a really tight corner, and incredibly, I'm being held up by a Porsche Panamera. Really. Now, in terms of driving ergonomics, as I mentioned previously, the driving position is really quite nice, but now I am driving it, the gear stick seems to be like a bit further away than I would perhaps like in a car of this type, but that is being pretty nitpicky, I must admit. Bit of a sharp corner, we're going up around here, and this course is amazing. down for second. Really give it the beans out of the corner. It's not quite as engaging as the smaller hot hatches, I must admit, but that is because it's got a hell of a lot more size to deal with. This Fastback, I really like the extra shape of it, and the boot space is really quite nice. For me, it feels like you just need a little bit more power. I'm sorry, it's a little bit disappointed with the power, but the handling is good, especially on this, quite frankly, ridiculous course with crazy hills and ridiculous corners. But it's doing very well, especially up a nice steep hill like this. In terms of audio experience, the exhaust note is not that audible. It's okay, it's a bit flat in here really. It feels more like a sensible, fast car rather than a car that's really gonna test you and put you on your wit's end and really encourage you to drive like a bit of a maniac. But actually, as an all-round daily car, it's not bad. It's pretty good. So there we have it, my first play in an i30N Performance. This one being the Fastback edition, which I actually much prefer over the hatch. So if you found this video useful, informative, then give it a thumbs up. And if you want to see more of me and other car content, then feel free to subscribe. And I'll catch you in the next one. There goes a sight from my soul.